Well, we are no longer in a bailout, but that by no means implies that we're out of the woods. It's been a very long period. As you know, Greece has had 3 bailouts as opposed to 1 for just Portugal and Spain. The economy is growing, but after the kind of severe recession we've had, you would expect a more robust growth rate than we're having at the moment. So if we manage to go above 2% this year, would be great. I don't quite see that. And the challenges ahead are multiple. I mean, there's an immediate challenge, which is how is the economy going to be able to generate the primary surpluses which are mandated in the post-program period, which are too high for the economy to grow at a decent pace. And there's the medium-term challenges, which is that no serious analyst, no international organization sees the long-term growth of the Greek economy above 1.25%. And that's because of low productivity and low labor participation rates. That's very disturbing, because if that's where we are, it means that we will not be able to grow out of the debt load that we have, because the debt the decisions about lightening the debt load is one thing, but you need to grow to get out of your debt spiral.
Can we make a bridge then between this conversation and the one we were just having about access to capital? Because in the height of the Greek crisis, I think many in Europe were happy just to ring-fence Greece and make all the problems of their country really contained in that country. But of course, there are exposures across borders in Europe. Now, as we talk about whether to open up markets and have cross-border consolidation, one that's cropped up really is around Italy. The market's saying, well, if Italy could be the next Greece, what sort of liabilities would all these banks then have on their balance sheets? Do you think it's right to open up borders to allow capital to have more access to flow across the countries in Europe? Or would there be a real problem if in a situation like Greece occurred, whether that was in Italy or somewhere else? Would there be a problem for the banking system?
Well, the question of whether we should open up or not is not quite relevant in the sense that this is where we are. I mean, this is the system that we have, and this is what we're dealing with.
But we are talking about change here, and if the borders are opened up, would it benefit Greece? Would it hamper Greece? Where the rest of Europe would have been dragged down even further in a crisis situation?
We have tried to, after the crisis, to repair the kind of problems that the Eurozone had from the beginning, which we knew, which we were not expecting to be so severe as they were, the kind of asymmetric shocks that we suffered. I don't think that we can stand here and say that we've actually done the job. I think we've done part of the job. I think it's important that there are now backstops, that they're functioning. It's important we made steps towards the banking union. Unfortunately, we don't have a European deposit insurance scheme in place yet, so that is a real problem. Fiscal union has not advanced enough.
Though? Because the Germans don't want to inherit some of the toxic stuff that exists still on the balance sheets in your country and elsewhere. So why is it a problem?
Because throughout the crisis, what you've seen is a migration of deposits from the south to the north. And until you create the environment where you do not need to do that, you will continue to have it, and this will weaken the countries of the south and will weaken their banking systems. I mean, Greece today, for example, continues to have, it does not have an inflow back of deposits which have left. It's trickling back in. Why is that?